Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel, and today we're back in the DCS World mission editor in the new Cyanide map, which is lovely. And today I'm going to talk to you about random times. So we've looked at things before in a previous video about how we can get random units to spawn in at a given point. This method is looking at random units spawning in at random times, so that every time you play the mission effectively, it will never be the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at it, and you'll probably see it probably makes more sense as we go through it. But for my example, I'm going to use today is I'm going to use a cap. So we're going to have an aircraft sat on cap, and we're going to put some other hostile aircraft in and around it. And as we'll see when we test it, that the aircraft will have to engage those targets at various points throughout the mission. And we'll play it one or two times just so you can get the gist of it. And then I'll leave you and you can go ahead and do it yourself. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and just zoom in. Let's go ahead and have let's go ahead and select an Israel, and we're going to go ahead with and select an F-15C, just because I can load it up with weapons. So I'm just going to call it Defender for now, just to differentiate. Okay, so let's come onto here. And let's just load it up with everything. There we go. Okay, so fully loaded, and we're going to want him to do set up a cap, and then he's going to go ahead and engage whatever bandits we put in there. Okay, so for the purpose of this as well, I'm just going to set going to restrict the jettisoning, so I don't want him to jettison his fuel, because that's part of the process of this whole thing. Is if we jettison the fuel as soon as one hostile comes in, if you're supposed to be sat on there on cap for 2 hours, say, or whatnot, then you've lost your fuel straight away, or a good chunk of your fuel. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to restrict jettison so he doesn't lose his fuel, and he will return to the cap point and carry on. Okay, so let's set up a cap at, I don't know, 16,000 feet. We'll do 400 knots to start with. So to here, it's between 1 and waypoint 2. Let's just straighten that up a little bit. Okay, so at waypoint 1, we're going to set the perform task, orbit in a racetrack, as we've seen before in the other tutorials, and we're going to set there's two conditions I want to set here, which are going to play a part or play a role in the triggers, as you'll see. So the first condition is I want the aircraft to enter a cap using flag 1, and I'll show you how we can make that flag turn on effectively. I'm going to use a stop condition when I want him to stop being on the cap. I'm going to use flag 11 there, and again I'll show you in the triggers how we're going to stop him from being on cap. Okay, cool. Right, next, this is one of the other important parts of this specific example. There are multiple ways you can do this, but for this example I'm going to use a trigger zone. So I'm going to set this up here. I'm going to call it cap. Make it a quad point. And let's just stretch it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Although it does break my heart when I can see that it's not straight. It is what it is. Okay. Oh, sorry, I lied. I have to try and make it a bit more square. There we go. Okay, so we've got the cap point set up, or cap trigger zone set up now. Okay, so now we're going to come into the triggers. This is where all the magic's going to happen. Actually, I tell a lie. I need to put in hostile aircraft, don't I? So let's go ahead and select Egypt, and we'll use 3 different examples. So the first example is going to be the F-16, because obviously the Egypt flies the F-16. Let's go ahead and bang him in there. Now I'm not going to give them any weapons, again just for the purpose of the tutorial, but obviously you will do, in an actual mission. So I'm going that way. I want to make sure that these guys are late activated. Okay, so I'm going to go copy, paste, and I'm going to change this guy to a Rafale. That's Rafale C. Again, just Egypt scheme. Let's have this guy at 16,000 feet, so he's at the same altitude roughly as what we are, I think. Okay. It's not activated yet. And then let's pop in another one here. And this one will make a MiG-21. Okay, cool. So now we've got our 3 hostiles set up. Let's come ahead to the triggers now. This is where things are going to start to happen now, where the magic happens. Let's say so. Let's just crack on with it. I'll show you how it works. It makes more sense. So we need to flag 1 on for the aircraft to enter the cap. Okay, so flag 1 on. So this is the trigger for that. So if unit is inside zone, so the defender is inside the cap trigger zone, then flag 1 is on. Okay. Next, we're going to change the type of trigger here to use to a switched condition. Okay, so which means it'll continuously keep repeating itself, pretty much, or check in to repeat itself, rather than just coming on once like flag 1 will. Okay, in the condition, we want time since flag. Where are we? Time since flag 1. I'm just going to use 60 seconds, and this will play a part. So what this will mean is every 60 seconds after the condition will check to see if flag 1 is on, effectively. And you can change this time to however often you want, but for the purpose of this I'm just going to use 60 seconds. Okay. So in the actions we want to set a flag set random value. So because flag 1 is effectively our trigger, we're going to give that flag a value. Now I'm going to use 1 as a min value and 60 as the max, which means in theory every 60 seconds DCS will check to see if flag 1 is active. If it's active, it will pick a value, a random value of flag 1 between 1 and 60. So for example, in the first 60 seconds it could pick a value of 5. After 120 seconds, so after two 60-second periods, it could pick a value of 42, whatever it wants. Okay, it'll just continuously keep doing that forever and a day. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put in our hostile aircraft. So I'm not going to give it a name, there's no need. So let's have a look. So if flag equals, so this is the value that we're looking at. So if flag 1 equals a value of 10, happy with that one, we're going to activate our first hostile aircraft. Okay, so let's clone that. Now this is where it's going to change for all the different aircraft. So flag equals 1, then we want this one to have a value of, I don't know, let's say 24. Then we'll activate aircraft number 2. And same again for aircraft number 3, but we'll make this one, I don't know, 46, the value. And there you go, aerial 3. Now what we could have happen in this situation is DCS could keep rolling the dice every time. So literally after 60 seconds, it could roll a dice and it'll give the flag a value of 10, activate an aircraft straight away. It could roll the dice again and give the next value, make it 24. And then obviously that would activate flag 2, and so on and so forth. And we could do that with number 3. But what we want it to do is, and what it will do, is it will just continuously keep rolling that dice until something happens. Now I only want this to happen once for each one because I've only got 1 aircraft. If you have something here that you want to, say, kill for like a training purposes, so say like a SAM site, you can make that this is a switch condition, and as soon as you kill it, or as soon as the flag comes on, it'll activate it, and then you can kill it, and then go back to your cap point, and then it'll reactivate it. But there's a few more triggers that you need to do in there to make sure that happens, but then you get the idea. So then what I want to do, I want to put that stop condition in for when we want the aircraft to finish his cap. So this one will be if flag, if I'm going to use unit fuel. Where are we? Unit fuel, the defender is less than 10%, then flag 11 comes on. So that all means that he'll finish his cap and he should return to OVDA. Is that OVDA? I don't know how you pronounce that, so I do apologise there. Okay, so then let's just send him back there once it's finished. Okay, so he'll just keep going round and round and round in circles until his fuel reaches 10%, and then he'll RTB effectively. Okay, so that's how we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and jump in, and we'll probably speed things up quite a bit just to make sure so that it's working quicker, so you're not sat here all day. Okay. Okay, so let's just come into map view because it's a little bit easier to follow here. So in the top right corner, I'm going to speed up time now to probably about 40 times the normal speed, just because it's a bit quicker, because we could be here for take some time to do this thing. So Aero 15 is just entering its cap now. So flag 1 should be active because he's in that trigger zone. So now it's just a case of waiting for other aircraft to, or the hostile aircraft to spawn in. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long. There we go. So let's make a note of that. So the MiG has spawned in at, we'll say, at 20 minutes there. Okay. So it's taking a bit of time for the F-15 to notice him. It should pick him up pretty short. There we go. Got him. Right, so now he's back onto the cap because he's killed him. And now we're waiting for the next aircraft. So there we go. The Rafales spawned in at 33 minutes past 7. So let's make another note of that. So RAF at 33 minutes. Cool. Okay, so now our F-15 should return to the cap. There he is, and then the R-16 spawned in at minute 43. Okay, let's try that one more time, shall we? Okay, so here we are, round 2. So obviously here's our F-15. It's going to go into the cap, hopefully, as like he did with the previous one. So let's just speed up some time. So flag 1 should be active now because he's just entering the cap. Instructed, so there we go, boom, straight away. So this time the Rafales come first. So let's make a note of that. So the Rafale came at minute 7, let's say. Whereas previously it was minute 33. Aircraft's dead. F-15 returns to the cap. Let's see what comes next. And when. As mentioned, it's a bit of a waiting game sometimes. Obviously, you can play around with the min and max values. Will either increase or decrease your chances, which will also increase or decrease your time. I like 60-60 because it's about an hour. Come on, there you go. So this time the 16's coming next at minute 49. What's it, 48, 49. I didn't quite see which one number it was exactly, but previously it was minute 43 and it was aircraft number 3 last time, or aircraft number 2 this time, roughly around the same time. Obviously that is a variable. Returns to the cap. And now we're just waiting for the MiG to spawn in, whenever that may be. And there we go. MiG spawned in at 8 minutes, so 1 hour and 8 minutes into the mission. Which is a big difference from the 20 minutes from the previous mission, and it was the from the previous attempt, and it was the first aircraft. So you can see there is a bit of variability with it. As I said, you just have to play around with the min and max values to suit your mission. My method of activating this random time is purely because I wanted the aircraft to be on cap first. So, you know, if you wanted it to happen as soon as the mission starts, then you can change it to mission start and so on. But I hope you found that useful. Obviously, play about with it yourself in the mission editor and let me know down in the comments how it's working for your missions. If you've got any other questions or anything like that, go ahead and ask me down below and I'll see what I can do. Until next time, I'll see you later. Goodbye.